welcome out tonight. First couple pieces of business. Tonight, this is not a city meeting. We thank the city for letting us have the building and facility, kind of partnership that we have with them. But this is strictly a school meeting, but sometimes people don't like coming out to the school, so we'd have it centrally located, and we'll have some others at school as we go. Tonight's meeting is informational. This is not me doing anything to promote or not promote the bond. This is me giving information and answering questions as we go. So that's kind of where we are. So I've got a small presentation. Actually, this is online, straight off our website. I hope it's all right. I just updated it today, and I'll go. So if we'll go to the next slide. So the board, the way this process started, we identified some priorities back in July when we had our retreat right after I got the job. And we had some budget priorities because we had a building that was being rebuilt. So there were things that we knew needed to be done. There were things that we knew weren't going to be covered by insurance. Because if you don't understand insurance, the way it works is you have a damage like that, they replace in like kind. So if you had a cheap carpet, they're not going to give you a nice carpet to replace it. If you had hollow core doors, they're not going to give you solid core doors to replace it. So there were some things that we knew we needed to fix. Prime example would be we're going to install a fire alarm. The building didn't have a fire alarm, so we were looking to install that fire alarm and make sure it was updated. So there were some updates we knew we would need, but we knew we had some money and we wanted to remain over $2 million in fund balance. The goal was to complete the building so that it is like new condition. So that was kind of our goal. The building we wanted, it's 40 years old. It was gutted. I mean, it was down to the studs inside. There is nothing that didn't get touched. The brick walls were left, and I think there is a teacher's room down on the pre-K hall, and that's the only thing that stayed. Everything else is gutted. If you want to see what it looked like original, you're welcome to come down. I'll show you the difference between the two and what it was. So that was it. But we also knew that the insurance wasn't going to pay for everything. The insurance would not pay, or so far has denied the air conditioners that sit on top of the building. All those air conditioners except 2 are over 20 years old and we're already in the point where they're getting ready to need to be replaced. There's 13 that need to be done immediately. We wanted to also improve teacher pay. That was one of the things that the board came and told me that we needed to do. Provide incentives, provide for students' long-term needs and wants, and provide additional buses. Right now we have 2 travel buses. Both of them have over 50,000 miles on them. But we need 3. And quite frankly, adding a 3rd bus would allow us to go do things. We had a situation this year where the band was going to a football game with cheerleaders, and we had the 2 trip buses, and we were going to take a route bus, and the route bus couldn't make it up the hill over at Olden, so we had to turn around and come back. And so the band didn't get to go to the Zephyr game because of that. So the board would like to increase our bus fleet and improve it, make it newer. And then the athletic facilities we can talk about, just getting them upgraded and updated. So that was it. Also, we had some money. So I'm going to talk about the money here in a minute, and I'll show it to you. But we also had, as you know, the first day of school, we had a river run through it. Literally, we had 2 inches of water running through the building. And that's happened before. I was told the water came into the building, and I guess I didn't anticipate it would be quite that deep, but it came through. So drainage project became priority number 1 for the board to get fixed. They want that taken care of because we're going to have a building that's going to be repaired, and you don't want to have new damage coming into that building on a regular basis. So that is a priority that the board set. Central office renovation. Quite frankly, there's not a lot we're doing. My wife and I kind of donated our time at Thanksgiving. We repainted the boardroom and redid it. But the windows were rotted, so we've replaced them. And then there's, I don't know if you're familiar with that building. It's an old, you've moved it. Most of you have seen it, I think, down here. It was down here and then got moved up. But I guess it's an old Army barracks type from what I can see. And it has brick over the top of it. and the floors appear being, but they have the filing cabinets for all the records that we have had here in Ranger since school began. They are not fireproof file cabinets. So if that fire, when we had to evacuate the other day, would have come through and that building would have caught, all those records would have been lost. So $40,000 of that $60,000 that we had allocated, we spent on fireproof file cabinets so that we have those records and we'll get those moved over this summer and taken care of. So that's where the board prioritized. Fire alarm system, as I said, they wanted that installed, so we asked for money. And then we knew there would be some things not covered by insurance that we did. So I can talk about the technology update and the ESSER 3 funds. That's actually under our COVID site. I'm happy to go there when we get questions if I need to, but I didn't include that in this presentation. But the money's there and I'll be happy to talk to you where it is. So Gerald, next slide. If you can't see and want to, I'm more than happy to let you guys come up here. So we started, and there's been some question on how much money we've had. Mr. Thompson did a great job of saving money and getting fund balance built up. And with COVID, we were lucky because we were able to put a lot of money back. I think we were at about $2.1 million pre-COVID, but after everything settled out this year, we ended up with $3.7 million in fund balance. Of that, $275,000 roughly is in investments. We can't touch it until 2026. We had money available and it was put in investments. So that left a remaining balance of 3.487, I believe is what it looks like there. So out of that 3.487, we had to pay $565,000 for the deductible and the depreciation that they took on our roof. So that's how much it's cost the school so far for the building as it's been rebuilt. There is some insurance deductible of about $17,000 that we have not reached yet, or we will, but we haven't reached it yet on contents inside separate from what was attached to the building. So we asked for the additional funding of $140,559. That's a rough estimate, but there it was. Again, that was for the fire alarm system. Cost us, we got a great deal on our fire alarm system. It was about $85,000, and that's part of what we had there. There's some other things that I've had teachers ask for. Well, Mr. Ship, our teachers are great. They have made do, and they have been through, guys, if you need to give our teachers a pat on the back for all they've been through in the last year. It's been just a little under a year since all this happened. But I had a teacher, and they had carpets. So in the kindergarten classroom, they've got ABC carpets. And you guys probably remember sitting on them, and they were there, but it's how you learn your ABCs and you could sit. And it got ruined by the storm. That water sat in that classroom for 2 months. And it was outside in the trash. And the day the river ran through it, I used it to help cover the door to keep the water out. So it was outside. I went to the classroom at Christmas and they cleaned it up, put it in the classroom because they wanted it, but they didn't want to spend any money. So part of that money is to get those kind of things replaced. So I have had teachers finally, I spent about $6,000 the other day replacing carpets, things teachers needed that they were afraid to ask for, and they didn't used to make and do. I wanted them to get something new and nice because we don't need that back in the building. It would just cause problems. So that being said, that's where we are. That leaves us we want the $2 million in fund balance. That leaves us right at $800,000 for the other things that we could do. Of that, like I said, we did the central office renovation with 60, and then the drainage project we just put out to bid. As I said the other night, I really thought we could get that drainage project done $400,000, maybe $600,000 when everything started. As you know, right now, costs are going up. I hope it comes in bid under 6. That's my hope. If it's not, then we have that other and some of that, we'll be there too at the $2 million mark. But that $2 million would provide us enough money if we had another disaster, we could take care of us, plus it gives us operating funds to be able to pay salaries. We can talk about that, but that's where we are. This claim is not over. So we hired a public adjuster, and we have people coming out next week to look at our roofs and go over them again and see if we can get the insurance company to pay for the metal roofs because they say it's cosmetic only. Now, guys, there's damage there. it's leaking. We've had a bunch of it fixed and skinned, and there's damage underneath. But we've taken care of that. If I can get that covered, some of that $140,000 we may get back, because that will be insurance money for stuff we've already done. That money would go back to fund balance and be available to us for other projects. But that's where we are. That's how we targeted the money. That's where our fund balance is being spent. There will be some money we saved that we will save this year. Right now, I anticipate between $250,000 and $500,000 add to fund balance at the end of the year. Where does that money come from? Some of it comes from ESSER 2, because I did supplant money in ESSER 2. We talked to the community. It was a community decision. The board said we had surveys. We're taking that money and we're putting it back. That money was planned to be paid for those air conditioners, but as we looked at things, we felt like we needed more money, so I didn't want to just take that right now and put it there. But yeah, we will have about $250,000. That will buy probably 10 or 11 air conditioning units. But it doesn't make sense if we can get all the units installed at one time to pay an engineer to draw up new plans, because there's a lot of upfront costs in order to do this project. So we're trying to do all this project at one time. Thus the reason for the bond.
Before you go on, back up to that one, would you?
Yeah, that's it.
That $2 million desired fund balance, does that include that $1 million that's designated for future construction?
Well, actually, that $1 million that's designated for future construction, between the between the deductible for construction and the drainage project that we're getting ready to do, that would all be pretty well eaten up by that. That would be construction. So
that will be undesignated and put over into your maintenance and operation?
No. That's fund balance. We could use it for maintenance and operation, but
we'll just go for...
Yes, we could. So I guess to answer your question, I'm not putting it in. We're just going to put it over to spend, but it will be our maintenance and operation.
So it'll just be undesignated, come out of what's been saved?
Yes. We could designate it. The board could go back and designate some money. But right now, where we are, the fund balance will be, at this point, undesignated is what we're looking at.
So technically, then that would take it down to $1 million in the fund balance plus the $1 million that was designated. Is that right?
We will have spent some of that designated money in the fund balance for the project, for this. So either way, we'll have $2 million. Whether the board decides they want to designate it or undesignated, we haven't had that discussion yet. But that either way, we could do that.
Okay.
All right. So there's been some confusion, I think, and I want to make sure we clear this up. Our priorities for the bond package came from a survey, and about 98 people took the survey. We sent it out all over. It came up and announced at the city council, and there were a lot of things on it. AstroTurf for the football field was one thing that was on it. Everybody talks about we're going to turf the field. No, we're not. That's not even in the proposal. The priorities came up. The high priority items were the air conditioning units, the buses, the elementary gym and ag barn, furniture for the classrooms, the parking lot, and building upgrades and storage, and just kind of general. The next priority items would actually be what is this athletic facilities. Those have to be on a separate proposition by law. I couldn't put those all on one proposition. So the second proposition is separate. Sandblast, repair, and repaint the stadium, the locker rooms, the field house concession stand replacement, sprinkler system, and for the grass, we are not doing AstroTurf, track out at the school, and then storage for the track. So those are the items that came up as priorities. Baseball, softball lights were also a priority, but the facilities committee met, talked about it, and they didn't think that was something we wanted at this time, and didn't feel like that was the priority to spend the money at this time. So that didn't get on our list. So we'll head to the next slide. And so what I did is made a spreadsheet, and if you were at the facilities committee meeting, I had numbers up there on projected cost. And I hopefully high-ended them enough that we could get stuff done. And but there's the priorities listed by the things that came up. And, quite frankly, with inflation, I hope we can get everything done. But some of those things, some may be more expensive, some may not be expensive at all. Some may be things that we have people in the community that can help us with, and we don't have to pay anything for them. So as we sit down and do it, we will look at all things. And that's it. So,
Mr. Shipley, if we get down in Proposition A, and let's say we're in good shape,
okay.
and we only spend $2 million of that 2.7 that's in Proposition A, what happens to the 750,000 that's left over?
So that's in your INS bucket. We cannot spend it on anything in Proposition B or Proposition C. So we can only spend it for things, and some people had said that the language is kind of broad in the bond. There would be things, as long as they met the requirements, we could, under Proposition A, that we could spend on. But quite frankly, I think the board's discussed it. If we don't spend it, it's not going to burn a hole in our pocket. We may just decide we don't need it. We can give it back, we can pay that bond down, and take care of it that way. So we don't have to spend everything that happens. In fact, if I get the air conditioners replaced, and I get some other stuff done, and everything comes in under what we thought it would be, we're going to have a substantial amount of money left over in this bond that we may not sell that bond. We may not have to sell that much. So I can't tell you what it is until we get there. I'd love to be a prognosticator, but in these situations, I just can't tell you. But that's kind of where that is. So, other questions on that slide?
When you're looking at doing the football field, are you talking about, where's that one at up there? It says,
Right here, sandblast and repaint.
replace the grass and sprinkler. Are you gonna go in there and totally tear out all the grass and sprinkler system?
So,
Why?
the sprinkler system needs to be, it needs to at least be dug up and redone.
Okay.
While we're doing that, I don't know what we needed on the turf. So, it's there. If we need to, it's got, I mean, right now it looks awful, but it hasn't been treated. And it rained yesterday, so every dandelion came up that is possible. It looks like a weed field out there right now. But the field's not in bad shape, but it's there. So I didn't want to have something and not be able to do it. That's why it's in there.
What is the cost for that in Proposition B? Estimated cost to replace the grass and sprinkler system?
So I'll be happy to set an SC. I don't have those numbers here in front of me right now.
Do you have a rough number in mind? I'm just doing the math between
So I'm going to give you rough numbers, but I always hate giving
I'm
rough
not
numbers.
going to quote you on it. I'm just curious, what's that rough number?
So when I said, so the sandblasting and painting on the stadium and doing some work, I thought would be about $200,000. That may be a little low. The concession stand, we thought we could get between 6 and 8, and then so the turf and the track was going to be 340 out of that, and I think so the grass maybe $100,000 on that.
I was just doing the math on 12 games a year with $100
Right.
plus $1,000.
Are you gonna totally redo the track again?
No, hopefully not. But there's some maintenance that has to be done on it.
Because 340 seems high. I mean, we just redid the whole track 10 years ago.
Okay.
And it is a 6-lane track, so you'll never hold a district meet on it.
Right.
Ever. And we actually added a curb to it when we did it 10 years ago.
So again, like I said, that track, if it doesn't need to be redone, once we get engineers, people out here to look at it, and it may only need minor repairs, we won't spend that money.
What does the ag barn need for an addition?
Well, right now it's full. It needs an ag barn. It needs a floor put in it, and it needs.
What we got is just a shed.
We'll tear it down?
No. I want to double it in its size. Is really what we want to do. Put a floor in it and make it where right. We had an issue this year when we had the rains with the wall the way it was. We had to move the pigs out because we had a little water up in there that was not what you needed. So there's a little bit of work and adjustment. It's not huge, but that's something that we could do. And when we looked at it, let's face it, when we looked at the bond, we could pass a bond, I could pass it for $1 million. But if you're going to go to bond, you might as well go out and ask for what it is that's there. So that's why it's in there. And when we put it out, people wanted to look at it. they said that was something that was worth doing. So that's what it's
Did
there.
I hear you say a little while ago, is there still a possibility of this independent? Goodness, gee, even I can hear that.
That's why it's on there.
I need to borrow that one.
Sorry.
Is there still a possibility though, of this independent negotiator with insurance being able to get help for these AC units?
There is, and roofs. I'm quite frankly hoping we add about $3 million to the total amount of claim, which will put a little more money out.
Nice.
And if it
I
does,
mean, it doesn't seem reasonable that they wouldn't help at all.
no, it doesn't. But
I mean,
if-
I understand how they work, but it does not seem, because the problem is, and you know what I do, if you replace 42 AC units, even if you do it over 2 or 3 years, at some point, 42 of them's got to be replaced again within that same 2 or 3 year period. So you're right back in that same catch-22.
in 20 years, right where I am right now.
You know, in 15, 18, 20 years,
Right.
you're back at the same
Same
thing.
unit.
One thing I didn't understand, Doyle, was how can the roof get beat to pieces like that and not cover the units that are sitting on the roof right where the skylights, all skylights got knocked out? What was the size hell? 2.5 inch?
It was
At
big.
least two.
Yeah.
It was huge.
I just don't understand why they didn't get covered.
I don't
Why they wouldn't.
I-
That's the reason why for the independent adjuster.
And it costs, I mean, independent adjusters are going to cost 10% of whatever they recover.
That's fine.
And I didn't, and that's what I said, but I didn't want to bring them in until we had everything done that I could get them to agree to and done. So that's kind of where we are.
But 10% would be well worth that.
Very well. And so, but the other situation I have right now, I've got those, like I said, 13 that need to be replaced. We were going to put it out to bid for this summer. Right now, you can't get units. I mean, it'll be Christmas or later. And rather than design it when we decided to go out for bond on these other few things, it makes sense to go ahead and put it in here. And then if we can afford it and get it taken care of other ways, then we will do that.
Do you really think you can get your drainage project done for that little money? Because it seems like when Ricky Williams was here at Soup, he tried and it was going to be about $650,000, and
That was 2003.
20 years.
I was fixed to say it was about 20 years ago.
In 2003, Mr. Baird, who did the plans back then, he had said it was 200. It was around 200 and some odd thousand is what they had gotten bid for, and didn't happen. And then I know we put a French drain in to try to mediate that problem, and you know, just there's too much water coming off that hill. I mean, it's what it is. So
Bad design to begin with.
the design they've come up with, I'm going to guess is going to cost us closer to me. When I did it, Cotton kind of acted like they thought they could get it for $600, but that was before everything went. So I'm hoping $600, and they want to get a bid, so maybe we can. It's just it's a lot more dirt work. And we've got a cell phone tower to remove now that we didn't have in 2003, so I had to have that adjusted. But we have gotten a deal with the cell phone company. They're going to let us take it down rather than build a retaining wall around it. Okay. So we will own it, and that's kind of where that goes. So other questions here?
Who put the money in an investment for 4 years?
I didn't ask Joy.
Just a thought.
I-
Go ahead.
I'm
I'm expecting an answer.
So, go ahead. So, I updated this today, so it's on the web.
Can I
Yes,
chime in? I'm Dave Faltus. I'm just retired as a superintendent, and I'm working in the district as a financial advisor. But there was a group that came around 5 or 6 years ago when people were investing in tax pools, and and the rates dropped to 0.15, 0.2%. And they there was a lot of discussion about doing some laddered investments if you had your cash flows. And my assumption, looking at those numbers and the overall fund balance, was there was an idea of that's about the amount of money we don't need until we start to get revenues from the state and taxes. And so they're probably invested at 1.25, 1.3, something like that, which is not good, for us as personal investors, but it's 5 times what they're getting at the time.
Sure.
And so that would be my guess.
That's
I
what
don't
I was thinking.
I don't have any
I was
idea.
hoping there was something to it.
That's the only thing that I could see.
No, I'm not going to guess. It's just, that's what I'm hearing.
I just saw that.
So, This is updated as of the 28th, and I did put, you'll see the totals on the bottom. That's if all three of the propositions passed, and it was for $5 million your cost. But I also want people to see what the cost would be for the INS tax rate for each proposition. So it's 9 cents basically for proposition 1 to 2.75. You add another 5.4 cents if you were to do the athletic facilities, and another 2 cents if you did the housing. Now, there was also a question that has come up, but our assessments are going up. We don't want to do this. But if your assessments are going up, then it won't cost you as much because you're paying, you have more tax base to pull from. You won't have to have quite the same amount of tax rate. So I could run this over our assessment. If we wanted to assume a 10% growth, which the preliminary numbers for Ranger are not that. Eastland County, yes. But for Ranger proper, it's not that right now with the preliminary numbers I got. So if that's the case, and we went to 175 million taxable values or 180 million taxable values, then those numbers will go down some. So the amount of tax won't have to be the same in order to get the same funds.
Is that bond going to be set at that 3.25% for the full 30 years, or is that a flexible amount?
That third proposition we would put in there is a 15-year note, since that's the smallest one. Doesn't make sense to put a $600,000 note out there for 15 years. Right now we're projecting 3.25. When we first started this, we were looking at about
2.75. I think if you look at the first presentation,
we've had a couple of bumps with
Sure.
the Fed rate. There's an idea that Ukraine that issue over there could at least slow down a couple of those bumps, but they're still expecting 3 or 4 before the end of the year. We think that number will end up being more like 2.95 to 3.1. But when you're looking at an election and probably a sale in July or so, you build in a little bit of cushion on your interest rate.
I don't.
But yes, that's over the life.
When we sat and built this, I could have done this a lot of ways. I don't want the taxpayers to have something that's not there. So if I'm going to overestimate, I'm going to overestimate on what I think it's going to cost you. Because I pay tax. I mean, I just bought a house, and trust me, I know what those taxes are, and I'm sitting here going, man, that's okay. That hits my pocketbook. So, but that's what we've done, and I hope those are the rates that we can get. But you guys know this is a volatile time, and it is. Okay. Any questions on that? But I had updated it. So I also hear that, we pay high taxes, and I know we have Ranger College. I know that's an additional tax that not everybody else has. I get that. But our tax rate is right at 94 cents. You'll note that Gordon and us probably are the two comparable ones. And then you can see Eastland's at $1.16, and they're looking at a bond. They were looking at one in May, but they're going to look at it, I think, in November at this point. Gorman, they just built that new gym facility and updated some classrooms there. And so you can kind of see what that is. You might look at Breckenridge. I think there's the other one that's kind of off. Breckenridge, several years ago, had some INS, and they about had it paid off. And they went, back when you could go to $1.17, they did tax swap election and put it in M&O. So their M&O went up to $1.17. They paid off the bond with their M&O money, which you used to could kind of do. The state frowned on it, but they let you do it anyway. And they've stopped that. With House Bill 3, with compression, you can't do that anymore. So we couldn't do a tax swap. I couldn't just raise M&O money and do that. So Breckenridge, you notice, is at $1.05. That rate will compress as time goes on, and eventually they'll be down where we are. They got a little bit of an advantage by having that $1.17 tax rate, and it really was to cover their INS, and they got lucky. So right now, if you look at Breckenridge salary scale, they're about $4,000 higher than we are, and going up. So, questions on tax rates? Anybody? Okay. Brother G. And talking about the difference between M&O and INS. I went over this the other night. It's there. Does anybody need me to go over this again? Or I don't want to read slides. I hate when people do that to me. So if not, we'll move on through. So frequently asked questions. I think the big one, how can we support this in Ranger College? Didn't do as they promised. Ranger College is a separate entity from us. We don't receive funds from them. And the board has tried to be in this process transparent as we possibly can be. We've had 3 or 4 community meetings now. We've put it out. We've asked questions. And we've targeted what we're going to put it for. You know exactly what it's going to be targeted for. Now, you have to trust the people that are on your board. I understand the bond language is bond language, but it's pretty limited to what we're putting it in here. So that's it. Now, why not take the money out of M&O? I've already kind of talked about that, and we have. We pulled our M&O down to where it's going to be right at $2 million. And guys, right now, I've budgeted conservatively. That M&O is going to go back up hopefully this year, and we may be able to pull some other things. But that $2 million is kind of the goal the board has set, and we'll go from there. And next one. Why not just borrow the money? Texas law requires us to seek voter approval for these type of capital expenditures. The bank has offered, to borrow the money, but even now, GASB has changed, and we have to report, and the city has to too, even our copier leases. Also, superintendents used to get smart when we had M&O money available. We didn't want to have to try to pass them on. Hey, we can get a lease, and we'll lease this for 3 years or 5 years or 10. Now all that has to be reported under GASB, and it has to be reported as long-term debt in your balance sheet and on your audited funds. So, it appears that the bond is for other things other than instruction. Well, that's kind of what it has to be. It has to be for long-term obligations and debt. But if I take those long-term obligations and debt, and Doyle, you made a point, like 20 air conditioners, and replacing 2 or 3 at a time, that's $200,000 I'm taking out of my M&O. That's, for us, that'd be about a $4,000 raise for teachers. If I give raises, I have to be able to, that money's every year. So once I give a raise, I can't just give a raise for 1 year and then change the scale the next year. They'll stay there. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and I'm happy to discuss that question if anybody has something that came up there. And then going on, Gerald. Okay, so here's the ones that came up recently. Why are we putting AstroTurf in the field? We talked about. I heard we want to move the stadium to the current school. I don't know where that came from. That is not a desire. First of all, were you the one that built that up there? The track, the football practice field and stadium, or was that?
The practice one?
Yeah.
No, but they had me redo the track.
Redo the track.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be appropriate, I believe, as far as spacing, to have a stadium up there,
No.
size-wise.
I know where they got the AstroTurf from. That was on that need survey.
Yeah.
It actually said AstroTurf at football.
And that was the lowest priority thing that came back.
But that's where
That came
I'm
from?
sure that's where they got that idea from. 'Cause
Okay.
that was on there.
Yeah, it was. So, then the next questions come up about the current stadium and how bad a shape it is, what shape it's in, what it needs. So I went down today and I just took some pictures, and I'll let you look at them.
Can we still use the prisoners?
Yes,
If worse comes to worse,
If
can we still use
as COVID is released, I had planned on, actually part of what I had planned when I was shooting at that $200,000 budget was us buying the paint, getting my arena screw and the prisoners out there to sandblast that thing off
I didn't know if they were still
and
working.
paint it.
Not right now.
Not right now, but as COVID has waned, I think it'll come back.
Okay.
So let's look at where we are with the current stadium. Okay. And these are all online, so you're welcome to get it and blow them up. But you can see there is some of that pipe has rot in it, or I'm not sure what the appropriate word is, cancer or whatever, but it needs to be looked at and addressed and cut out. And we still have the old bathrooms underneath that were never removed. And for safety, I would like to take all that out and make it look nice. And underneath, I would love to sit down and asphalt that, make it kind of ADA compliant where they can get to the ramp. You can go up it, put some lighting in there, and upgrade those facilities. The stands, as you can see, there's rust and paint needs to be addressed. Go on to the next one, Gerald. Home dressing room. When we talk about the okay, do I have to say anything else? Home dressing room. That's where we have our kids go to the restroom, and we sell anyway. That's why we're looking at the Fieldhouse complex, which would be multi-use. I think one of the questions was, why do we use it for however many games we play down there for football? If we do it right, put it down at the, we haven't designed it, but I think if you saw the one at Zephyr, and there's a couple others, put it down on the end zone, and have it where you could put a fence on both sides, open gates, and then if the youth league facilities needed restrooms and wanted to have concession stand stuff, you could open it both sides, and then it's a multi-use facility that should get used on a regular basis. So, but you can kind of see. So people I haven't seen, I don't think people have been in those dressing rooms, some of you guys, since you went to school. And that's the home dressing rooms.
I think they were already closed when I was in school.
So that's the home visitor stands. Gerald, keep on down. There's some places it needs painting. I mean, rust doesn't stop. If we don't get it sandblasted and painted, we're gonna have real issues. But there's some places that need to be addressed, and I don't know what that's gonna cost. Gerald, go on to the next one. Underneath, there is no lighting. There's nothing. You ask your visitors to come play, and they're feeling around. The reason I know is a bunch of them have their cell phones, and if you'll look on this slide, I'm going to get up so you can see. This handrail right here has rotted through and busted off. So that's kind of the condition, and that one little hole you saw is at the bottom of that ramp. So we need to address some of this. And so that's why we're looking at it. And to take those funds out of instructional funds, that's kind of where we are. So going down, Gerald.
It was a problem.
Oh, that's good. I put them on there, maybe trying to pull it from my phone still. And
Do you have more program?
I know. No, I want to make sure it works. I want to make sure everybody had the same presentation I had tonight. So, long story short, the visitor locker rooms are in the worst shape.
The visitor ones?
Yeah.
That's where they used to have the home.
Home, I know, but
Yeah.
you got
Did the laundry in there where the, what they turned into a concession stand.
stand and
Washed everything at one time. Talk about nasty.
and you want to go into that? I took pictures of that too. I didn't put them up here, but yeah, that isn't nice. And quite frankly, some of those facilities are nicer than some others we've been using. So that's kind of my presentation on the facts that I have. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And like I said, my goal is not to convince somebody one way or another. That's not what I'm here for. My goal is to answer questions.
I have a few questions that I've written down in your presentation.
Okay.
Obviously the needs are there, but currently how many students are in your school system?
There's 327 as of today.
327. And do you have an estimate of how many kids that are in Rangers District are going to Eastland?
2 years ago, it was around 50. It's not as much now, but I'm going to guess it's the number's 25 to 30.
Do you think that those parents have moved out of this area, or have they started moving kids back into your district? Have you seen your numbers go up in the last 2 years?
Our numbers have been fairly steady, which hadn't been the case. They had been declining.
So you would say likely those parents moved out of the district.
They didn't move out. They just take their kids over there and transfer.
But I mean, you said it was 50 a couple of years ago, and now it's 25.
But with COVID, it's harder to get that number. The state actually has a number on TEA website. They have a number of kids because when a kid transfers out and they're not moved, but they are a transfer, they have to put it in their PEMS code. So we had it. So like I said, it was 50 a couple of years ago. It was 0 last year, which I don't think is possible because I know most of our kids are over there. But with COVID, I don't know how they got COVID. So
would you say that many of the kids that go over to Eastland are likely to get a better education and maybe have more opportunities in a larger school district that's more well-funded?
I would say better education. At one time that may have been the case. I don't think so at this point.
My issue is, I shouldn't say my issue, is my thought as a 2005 graduate here, and then I went to Ranger College and I transferred to Tarleton. The things out of your control, where you've had city councils that haven't helped you, where parents are encouraged to move here, and the crap that students have to see on the bus on their way to school. I mean, I've seen it all 12 years I went to this school system, and it has an effect on the mental state of these kids. And I know that it's something that would be highly controversial to even suggest, but for the sake of the kids, putting a Band-Aid on a lot of this problem, that those bleachers won't last another 20 years, even if you repair them. So you're going to be looking at spending a ton of money on new bleachers. The school's only going to get older in the next 20 years. Would it not be beneficial to maybe look into these kids just busing over to Eastland and having a better opportunity with a more well-funded program?
So
higher numbers in sports, more well-paid teachers. They actually drive a loop and see progress. They see business. They see people that are successful, and they're not driving by crap every day to the same extent that they are now. I think if I had kids, I'd be taking them to Eastland, and that's of no fault of your own or the school boards.
So I want to respond if you don't mind. K6 right now, I think we do a very good job of where we can be. And I think our high school and junior high has improved dramatically. Before COVID, we were on the right track. Opportunities in Eastland right now are more. We don't have, let's face it, the big issue I have is I don't have kids participating in anything, especially about from 3rd grade until 7th or 8th grade. We have kids that don't start playing sports until 6th grade. Well, you're 6th and 7th grade, you're going to play in light hand. Those kids are already playing basketball in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade.
Yeah,
so one of the things we're looking at doing is adding an intramurals position where we can start having kids play, at least get an opportunity on Saturdays and Sundays and after school. And if we can get them to come and parents to do it, where they get an opportunity to play and compete, and then work with our youth leagues to try to get them going. We can't enable them. I can't keep enabling and spending money off on that, but I need to get our kids going, because you'll find if a kid is active in one program, they're 70% more likely to graduate. If you're active in 2 programs, it goes up to 90 or 95%. So people ask me, well, why do kids succeed? Some succeed and some others don't? Because the kids who participate and get involved are successful. These cell phones they're the main. It's not just us. Easton's having the same problem. The first time they didn't make a team over there in one of their leagues this year. And you've got kids going and playing Premier League ball or whatever it is, AAU. So those times have changed a little bit. We're going to have to restructure what we're doing. But there's a lot of kids that go there and come back and they aren't successful there. When they come back here and they graduate and they go to Ranger College and they do things, it's a different environment. And so you asked me about it, that would be a change. That would be something the board and the community would have to decide. Ranger hates Eastland, and I don't know, I've been around long enough in many different places. I want to work with Eastland. Eastland has things that our kids can do. If there's a way we can work together, I think that's advantageous for us. It's advantageous for Ranger College, and I think ultimately them, because they're not big enough either. I mean, a 3A school, kids can still do everything. It's not like being in a 4A school, everybody has to compete, but you can still get lost. I mean, and so,
no kid wants to be a loser. I get it. I remember those days, and we lost every single football game. And how many students are in your band currently in high school? A rough number.
I want to say it's over 20.
Yeah, see, when Mr. White was in 2005, I graduated with a class of 22 to give you an idea of a class size, and he had over 70 kids in the band.
And this year's the first year they just went and competed, got 1s and 2s, and that was a big improvement, and he's staying. So I'm really excited that we have people where you start to see things coming back. We've had success now. I mean, going 6-man now, it's controversial, but our kids had success. They learned how to compete and win. I went to Lipan, I got to go coach the night at Lipan. We're 4.5 innings in Lipan, and we're ahead 2 runs. And then we're not used to competing that long, that hard. And you can just watch the mental break. We stopped throwing strikes, we stopped doing things. And it's just that you have to learn how to do it again. You have to learn how to win and compete. And we talk about frustration. Everybody in town is frustrated. The kids are frustrated. I know the parents are frustrated. And you get beat down. And then we start, I call it Ranger, we eat our own sometimes. We just start picking at each other. And in Eastland, the same thing may be happening, but they don't pick at each other. And that's part of it. But I think us coming together, I'm actually excited. Monday night, I know we have a meeting. I know there's some people mad about what's going on in the stadium or whatever, but that meeting is to say, hey, who's going to come and work? If you guys can come fix it, we can get some things going, and people want to take some responsibility for it, we're happy to give that back or work it together or do whatever. But I don't feel like the board has talked to me that we aren't going to make do and just make it look okay. We can't do that. Our kids, that becomes the attitude of them.
Yes.
We have to have excellence. We have to do it. So, from repainting the top of the building maroon and getting that stuff scraped off and all that, spending the extra time fighting with the insurance to make sure all that got done, painting our administration building. I mean, I've still got to finish those kind of projects. But it's little things. The front doors, getting those wraps, security wraps, those kind of things. Those are things we're looking at. And you're spending money. You're going to have a new building. We do all this. We'll have a new building. It'll be a 40-year-old outer structure, but inside we have taken down all the old wire. We've got new Cat 5 wire running everywhere. We've got new Promethean boards. And I don't want to spend money. Cisco College just had a deal where they're offering furniture. College kids take pretty good care of furniture. So I just got 200 desks over there that we're going to bring in, and I'm going to manipulate them around. If they're not nice, they're not staying with us. But we're going to give our kids as nice a desk, and they're different. The desks we've got are great, but they are hard as rock. I mean, I would love some of our parents to come sit in the chair. We ask your kids to sit in for 4th Wednesday and be going, okay, I don't get up in 10 or 15 minutes, something's wrong, because they're hard. And so we're trying to kind of make that adjustment. And I went and visited Roscoe the other day. Coming back from Tech job fair, I went to Roscoe. If you haven't been out there, I'll be happy to take you. I know the superintendent well. They've spent a lot of money. They've done something really unique, and they weren't too far from where we were probably 15 years ago. They went out and made a college preparatory high school, and all their kids get 2-year degrees. Well, they said, I'm not totally sure, but that's the plan. But they have gone and spent money, and their teacher's lounge is nice. But you walk in, it's a college setting. There's no bells. The kids come and go to class. And I don't know if they're any different than our kids, but their expectation, their mind is, hey, this is nice. I'm going to keep it nice. I take care of things. And that's the direction. So when we talk about having vision and leadership. I remember, I'm a little older than you, I remember Ranger when I came in 76 and 80, it still was vibrant some. It started to decline, but it was a vibrant community. I think we can get back there. Fort Worth, Dallas is growing out this way. Eventually there's going to be growth here. And I would hate to sit and give up on it. I'm not ready to be there yet. But so you asked me about Easton, I'm not ready to be there yet. But if I thought it was best for our kids, I'd look at you and tell you, we need to do this or make a change. But right now, I'm not ready to give up on it. I think with a partnership, new college president, he and I are looking at doing some things together. I think we can partner and bring size and scope together and see if we can make some positive things happen here. And that's, so long term, that's my direction and my goal for that.
My last point, if you do get this bond to pass, I would like to see an attitude from the board, less of, we got our money, we're just going to be happy now, and more of a keep pressure on the city council to try to clean up our community. So if the voters decide to invest in the school, I would like to see the people that are running the school board try to keep pressure on the community to clean up.
Well, I can,
Because that is the number one issue with, to me, students' mentalities outside of the school is the appearance of this town. So, and I know you've got one board member that works at both places.
I do.
So, but I would really, as a board, unilaterally like to see you guys keep, if this passes and we decide to invest in the community, keep pressure on the council.
And this is my passion and my job. I mean, what I've come for, what I feel like my mission is in life, is doing exactly this. When I was in Alaska, Cape, a similar community, and our kids took a survey, and they said, what do you want to make your town better? Put the dogs on a chain, get rid of all the torn, broken down houses, and do that. So my kids came up with that. So we went to city council, we pushed city council, we got a grant, we had a construction company that came into town, they were willing to help us, and we went and kids helped, the adults, and they drove it, and we ended up taking out, I believe, 28 old trailers and 8 old homes, and the city got the permission to be able to clear those off, liability issues cleared, and took it and take it out. I would like to see, once I get the building built and we get everything kind of done here, and right now my time's spent on that building. I'd love to tell you I'm in classrooms the way I should be, I'm not. But once that's done, I would love to sit down and talk to our kids and see if we can't drive that positive force in the community. Because if our kids are driving it, it will continue. And we just have to have that. I mean, that's the direction I want to take us. That's why I talked to the board about it, and that's why they hired me. And yeah, change is hard, and it's scary. I mean, I'll be quite frank. I know there's people terrified that I'm going to change some things. I'm going to try to keep the things that are good, and I'm listening. It's not about me. It's about this community. So if this community, for example, that's why we sent the survey out. If the community didn't want it, I'm going to do it. And if the community tells me we don't want this, and we're not going to invest, then we'll look at other things and see what we can do. And I'll do what I can with what we have. But that's what I do.
Well, I'm currently, I don't have kids, but we're about to have some private investors spend a couple multi-million-dollar taxable property project at the airfield. And so.
And I would love to sit down and us talk and communicate. And I know you came the other night and talked about a program for flying, and I've done that. A friend of mine and I did it up in Alaska, getting kids on. I would love to have our kids get involved and have that involved in school. But I think we have to create a synergy where, as positive things happen, yeah, we take a few steps forward, we'll lead our own, we'll take a couple steps back. But I think as we go, that's what I want to see for our school district.
Thanks for answering my questions.
You're welcome. Others?
I was just going to talk about some of what you were saying, okay? I graduated here in 81 and I saw the decline beginning. That's why I left for 40 years. Now I'm back. But this is what I see now. This school board, this guy, and the city council that we have right now, They've been trying to work to make things better, but the community needs to start participating, and they need to start listening to what's being said. Because when you get a lot of misinformation out there, that's what's hurting the
It's hard to
community.
kill it, yeah.
Mhm. And that's a great idea, what y'all are talking about, the airport getting the kids involved with that.
And the other thing, it doesn't have to be personalized. I know, I have people who are friends of mine that I know will or won't be for this. It doesn't matter. It's about Ranger. And we have to sit down and quit vilifying each other and playing this and say, what's going to make Ranger better? Because if we're going to make it better, that's what it's going to take.
I must be missing it, but Ranger seems to be the least amount of the vilification I've ever seen. Honestly, am I missing it? Is it where it's always been, or it seems like there's a better mindset in our community now, less negativity?
There is, I noticed it when I moved back.
Yeah,
But when I left, it was.
or I'm just used to it. There's acclamation, but I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about either side, you or.
Today
You're not on
was the
Facebook,
first
no
time
way.
I read on Facebook
A
some
lot
of
of it's
this,
social media.
Social media is the
rumors coming up of they're gonna move the stadium, and I thought, where did that start? Or something else I read, and I thought,
Okay.
it was out of the blue, and I thought, why?
And that's the thing.
What started this business?
I haven't, when I sit down and talk to people, and we sit down and get in a room, and I haven't had that. It's when,
The behind the keyboards.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that unfortunately, I want to sit down and have these conversations. And we can start doing this once a month when all this is done. If we want to start sitting down and having community meetings once a month and just having a talk, we can set this up.
I tell you what, as a former commissioner that sat up there for council meetings, the power of someone coming down and telling you every month something that's bothering them it's powerful. So you actually hold power. You might not even realize to come down once a month and say, look guys, we got to get this town cleaned up. And if you truly care about the kids, this is an accusation, you can come down once a month and tell the council.
That's a challenge. I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to start coming and I'm going to start saying it. And I'd like to have you down there as well, because that would be the number one thing you can do for your kids outside of the school is to clean up this community.
They heard me go off up here, so I know what you're talking about.
If there's nothing else, any other questions? Folks, I am more than happy to give information. I've had some people ask me if they could take the information. Anything on our website you're willing to take and put it out there. If you need information that somebody's saying something and you're not sure it's accurate, I'll be more than happy to get that out. I just want to make sure he's laughing because he knows the time it takes.
No, I've got something. I was just laughing about something up there. But go ahead.
But I'm more than happy. Again, I get to not participate in this, so my participation is just giving information and making sure we have what we need to make a decision.
I was just gonna say, all that stuff going around town, everything, look who here, look who showed up, look who cares.
Well, that bothers me. There's 13 people sitting here. 2 of them's board members, 1 of them's superintendent, 1 of them's MicroplexNews. Why? 13 people, take out 3, you got 10. That just aggravates me to no end. 13 people, you're looking at upwards of $5 million. 10 people. 10 people. Could you take, and I love Maroon.
Yes, sir.
I've been here since '83. I'll believe Maroon, I guess. Even though I don't care for Aggies.
I was going to say that was hard for me too.
I'm gonna throw it in. I didn't go to Aggie school. I went to Dalton. They see you. I'm purple. But can you take that maroon off of those PDFs to where I can print them and it doesn't just eat my black ink? That like to have killed my printer.
Absolutely. I think I will make a printable version with no background.
That would be so nice.
I'll be happy to.
I put a $40 cartridge in this thing. It was over going. It come out just sticky wet.
That printer was huffing and puffing.
But you know what? Now we're here. We're getting information. We're getting the facts on it. We're like the vision people perish in this town.
Absolutely.
But, you know,
Good reason.
So yes, and quite frankly, anything I put out, and I can't sit here and tell you I'm the world's greatest PowerPoint dude, but anything I put out, I have David in the school, and he will be able to get for me.
That is the PowerPoint
Queen. So they can get it for me, and I will be happy to put that out. So like I said, if you need something, email me for or against it. That's fine. I just need to get the information out there. And
There's still a lot of people that don't even know you guys are asking for a bond. I don't know how to get it to them. I don't know how to tell them. There's a lot of them like me who quit taking the paper. The college thing really burned me. It seemed like HV and the college collaborated. And I quit taking even his online version of the paper.
Okay.
A lot of them don't do Facebook, and other than that, they have no idea. I talked to 3 or 4 today. They're doing what? And I thought, where have you been?
so I guess my question, if anybody has a way I can get it out,
I mean, I don't know how you do it. But that,
well, there's,
PM to the postal service.
huh?
And every door direct mailing to the postal service.
What about a TV spot? In K-Town?
or,
Is that legal?
I don't know about K-Tap, but maybe, I don't know how many of them listen to Terry's radio station. I know it's not the.
Well, actually, I used to go over there on Fridays, and then we had the little COVID thing here in January, so I kind of quit. But I will try to go over there and meet with them. I will try to go over.
Slavens is pretty good, I mean, about doing that, but, I mean, he doesn't have the strongest wattage on his station. That's the only thing about
Right.
Terry's station.
So,
But it's
But if he could,
it's listened to
but you know, if you could get something like that during his,
in the garage sale hour.
well, yeah, what is it?
Parking lots.
Party box hour, people hear it,
okay,
because they're listening to that.
I will get with him. And like I said, any place else we can go.
At least let them know you're happy, you know, it's here, you know, we're trying to do this, here's where you can look up
And
information.
quite frankly, if I can get a link to this tonight, I'll put it on the website so people can see it. Trying to update our website, trying to update information just to make sure everybody has what they need. And that's the goal, is to get the information out, because the last thing I want to do is somebody going or not going to the polls because they don't know.
I think that adds transparency to all of it. Even a 30-minute second, 30-second clip to that. So look at our website, you know. I'll get her that bill.
Sorry, Judy, that was just funny.
Any other needs, wants, questions?
Thanks for having this.
Oh, anytime.
Definitely, this is for the kids. This is for the future kids coming through here.
We will do this again 2 more times.
So when my, trying to think of the right word, I'm getting a headache and I'm not thinking. When my overall property values go up,
Correct.
and they will, because land and houses are selling much, like, I'll get out. Not only in the county, but in Ranger. You put a for sale sign, you will sell it.
I've been in 8 months of travel program.
I've heard that from realtors who said, you can't believe what I sold this house that I didn't think would sell for. When it goes up, that number though, it will change.
Yeah, so when your values go up, or taxable values go up, then you will have a decrease in the amount that the INS has to
will
pay.
drop. Okay.
If that's what the board decides to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be paying.
I tell you what else to do. I'll have them run a example spreadsheet. If values went to, let's say, 180 million, what that would look like and how it would affect this month tax rate.
And
So-
and the AG's office will only let us project out so many years.
Yeah.
You know, just for obvious reasons, but typically you put kind of a 3% escalator the first 5 years in. But, you know, you're averaging about 5.5 or 6% the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And you had one year that was closer to 10% 6 years ago. And you're right, particularly with COVID, people are moving out of Dallas and Fort Worth. And they want as far away from that as they can get, and you're perfect for that. If everything else is in place, like you say. But yes, as that bottom number, your taxable value grows overall, your payment stays the same. It's a level debt service. And so you've got a larger field to pull from, and so the board can then decide to chip away at that.
And separate from this, I've got some people in here, and we talked a little bit, but we haven't got, my focus has been up there. Separate from this, we have an opportunity to grow this community and take positive momentum forward. And that's my goal and desire. And I don't mind spending the extra time, being on whatever council I need to be in whatever meetings I need to be in order to do that. I think if we can get that headed in the right direction, we can get this town moving back to where all of us want it to be. And I think everyone wants to be there. It's just, you get beat down for so long, you just kind of get to the point, I can't do it anymore.
For example, if your taxable value grows by 10% over the next couple of years in total, you can drop that 16.4 cents down to 13.9 or so.
Sure.
So it starts chipping away half a penny there, half a penny.
And if we ever, they talk about wind farms, one in Strawn and one up in Breckenridge, if those ever got going, a couple of those would be in our districts and those values would come up and those would get taxed. So as you have those kind of things come in, we have increased tax base, you have availability to do.
We thought we had that one in Huckabee, but it was over the line. But I kept the money in there.
Comanche just voted one down.
They didn't ask for it back. I didn't volunteer.
There you go. Well, thank you folks for coming out. If I can do anything, please let me know. And thank you for those of you online.
Sorry if I bumped your camera when I said